Greetings, Jennifer. Thank you for joining. Greetings, Zoe. Glad you could make it. We'll be starting in 1 minute. Just want to make sure that folks who are running a little behind are able to be part of the celebration call. Hey, Nikki. Thank you for joining. Okay. We'll get started, and if other people join, then they'll be part of the call as well. So, again, my name is Sabu Kuyumjian. I'm the Public Health Associate at the National Council of Urban Indian Health. I just want to let everyone know that Dr. Mark Clark, the familiar face for our project that you've all had opportunity to at some point communicate or work with, will not be joining us today. But he will still be around and supporting the Get Out the Vote efforts, the Get Out the Vote project, logistics, and anything that you all need, especially with mid-year reporting that we'll talk about later. And I wanted to kind of start today's call with an icebreaker and just something that is fun that we all could do in the beginning of our session. It's simple, and I'll definitely start it off, but it's has asking each of us to go around, introduce ourselves, and share your cell phone wallpaper, and then why you chose or why do you have the wallpaper. And so I'll go first to start today's icebreaker. So the wallpaper I have, which is China. I'm trying to delete this. Sorry, I did not know that. Okay, here we go. My wallpaper is, hopefully you all can see it. It's a waterfall. I might have to take my background off to show you because it is. So my wallpaper is a little waterfall, natural waterfall, and I actually took this at the Baltimore National Aquarium, and so it is an amazing place, but also nature is close to where peace and my heart is. So anytime I want to feel like I'm in nature, or at least like remind myself of nature, I just look at my wallpaper on my phone. And the next person on here that I would love to see if they'd like to volunteer is Jennifer, if you would like to share your wallpaper.
Can't get back to it, but it's I'm so boring. I use the out of the box tall shot of the ocean that comes with an iPhone, just because on any given day, where I would rather be is sitting at an ocean every day.
I 100% agree with you. Water is that's probably why I have a waterfall, because water brings peace to. So for me, Joshua, would you like to share your wallpaper?
Yeah, I'm actually the same as Jennifer. I have the standard wallpaper as well. And I find that, they must have done some market research because it works.
Yes, it's amazing. Um, Nikki, would you like to share what your wallpaper is?
All right. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
All right. So mine is a 49er logo with some feathers on there. I'm a 49er fan, obviously. So it spoke to me with the feathers and everything. It kind of just goes with who I am. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I lived in the Bay Area for like the last 3 years before moving to DC. So um, loved, yeah, San Francisco, all that entire area, Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really nice. And then Kimberly, would you like to share your wallpaper?
Sure. Um, well, my work phone is just the standard one. But my personal one has a picture of my husband and I from New Year's Eve with like little hats and blow things. So it's just a great memory from, actually it was our honeymoon, so kind of interesting.
Nice. And then Emily, would you like to share also?
Sure. Hi, Emily. Everyone, I'm Emily Bear. I'm a public health associate with Cebu. My wallpaper, if you can see it, maybe, is some of my friends in our master's program. We went to a Cayley. I was in Scotland. So we went to a Cayley, which is a traditional Scottish dance. And it was literally the last thing we did together before lockdown. So it's like my last memory before the world shut down there.
Thank you for sharing, Emily. So since now we went through it, um, everyone had a chance to speak and do the icebreaker. I wanted to kind of give a rundown of today's agenda. And I don't, oh, there's other folks on here. I apologize. Did not see them on my list. Zoe, did you want to share with us your wallpaper? I'm so sorry, I did not notice, didn't see on the screen. My apologies.
Sure, I can share it. Sorry, you caught me with a sandwich. So this is my wallpaper. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a picture that I saw on Twitter, and I don't know, I just really liked it, and I thought it was very colorful, and yeah, that was it.
Nice. And then Casey, thank you for joining also. Would you like to share your wallpaper also with everyone?
Sure. My name is Casey Brand. I'm with American Indian Health and Family Services. And my wallpaper, if you can see it, is my partner, Jeff, and my 4-year-old niece, Monty. We were heading to Grand Rapids Powwow, and she wanted to be carried, as always, and she's quite heavy. And she said, "Uncle, hold me, carry me." And he picked her up, and I just real quickly had my phone in my hand and like snapped that picture, and it came out perfect. And it's one of my favorite photos of them. She's an uncle's girl, so she doesn't care about auntie. It's all about Uncle Jeff.
Well, thank you for sharing. We really, that's a nice picture. It's nice to always have something that is associated with something good, and I think that I'm glad that you're able to share that. We appreciate you sharing that with us also. Um, okay, so to get on with the kind of a breakdown of today's agenda and our celebration call, there will be opening remarks done. And then we will be having project highlights from each of our UIOs led by Emily. And there will be an open floor round robin discussion for each UIO to share successes and challenges of your Get Out the Vote project activities. We'll have a mid-year reporting guideline information for everyone to keep on your radar for the closeout of some of your projects and things of that nature, and then also a Q&A session and upcoming advocacy tools and webinars. So thank you for that. And wanted to know, Kimberly, would you or Emily, are you? You're Kimberly. You're sharing the opening remarks and
I will do
successes.
so. Yes.
Awesome. Cool. So without further
Yes.
ado, just wanted to give our Vice President of the Technical Assistance and Research Center, Kimberly, to on the mic.
Absolutely. I think you all noticed that I am not Frances Carvier, our CEO, but on her behalf, I am so excited to be joining in on this call today with you all in celebration of all of your great work that you've done over the course of the last months. I know that it was really hectic to try to get things developed and I guess coordinated in a way in order to share with your community about our Get Out the Vote and yours. Get Out the Vote and Get Out the Census projects that you were working on, but I know that it was a valuable effort for the work that you did on your initiatives. I'm excited to say that we distributed over $180,000 to our urban Indian organizations and communities on your different initiatives, and and actually had 12 sub-grantees across the nation that participated in this effort. We definitely appreciated you following through with all of your compliance of the grant requirements. I know that there were a lot of questions around that, so we appreciate your patience as well as we sorted out some of the finer details and getting that set up. But we know that the information that you gathered and the data that you gathered would be valuable in the pursuit and motivation of your future efforts for civic engagement and advocacy. So although the election is over and census is now in more of the analysis phase, we know that our work is not done. And so I'm glad that this is happening so that we can share some of those developments that are coming up and activities and opportunities for you to participate in even throughout the remainder of this year. And I should say through 2021, since we're almost at the end of this year. But there's still so much to be done to ensure our Native voices are heard across the nation. So once again, I just thank you for laying the framework for future engagement efforts and look forward to working with you to ensure the success of the projects as you continue on. Again, on behalf of Frances, I say thank you. And so I'll turn it back over to Emily, actually, at this point for the next piece in the agenda.
Thank you, Dr. Fowler, for that opening and the wonderful remarks. We definitely all share that gratitude towards you all for the many efforts you've put forth this year. To show that appreciation, we just kind of put together a really kind of summary of some of the highlights of the activities that you've all put on this year. It's just a brief overview, and it just shows some of the kind of fun and faces of the organizations and your community members who are able to participate. we're hoping to share this to social media. So if you have any pictures you'd like to share, if you want to, like someone maybe is wearing your swag or something and you want us to put it into the highlight reel, we would love to see it. So please just send it along to me or Mark. You should have both of our emails, and we can add it to this before we share it on social media. Then everybody can see all the awesome things you've put forward. But without further ado, let's look at some of these highlights. So this is the Urban Indian Center, Salt Lake City. Unfortunately, their staff could not join us today, but Mo, Samira, and Mary Louise put a lot of work into their Get Out the Vote efforts. One of their biggest actual events this year was the Say Boo to the Flu drive-through event. So they held that on Halloween. They had a great turnout. They had goodie bags for kids, but they also had like masks and sanitizer with Get Out the Vote swag like that and images on it that they passed out on Halloween. So that was just a great socially distanced way that they engaged people. And they had a couple other drive-through events as well for census registration in September and for COVID, a COVID-19 drive-through testing as well. And those are all ways they were able to engage their community. Then the Fresno American Indian Health Project has this awesome poster that they shared on social media. We can see it had great engagement, super colorful, and really stands out. They also were able to overcome kind of an issue that came up where their Hello Wheels event had to be rescheduled. So props to them for that. They had a cool Halloween event where kids and costumes were encouraged, and they gave out goodie bags and other voter registration swag there as well. We definitely saw a lot of drive-through events, which is such an interesting way to overcome the challenges we all had this year with COVID-19. Native American Lifelines of Baltimore and Boston. So they realized that working together kind of furthered their engagement and the reach of their constituents. So they were able to jointly put on a couple events, and that actually improved how many people they could reach out to. So one thing that they did was put together this cool swag kit. You can see the One Vote 7 Generations t-shirt, masks, buttons, tote bag, and all the information on registration for voting. And they pass that out at multiple different venues through back to school events, passing out to parents who came there to get stuff for their kids or guardians, and then passing it out also. I believe Zoe passed it out with Warren, and they were able to pass it out through community food boxes as well. And then they also held this cool webinar that was Voting 101 that they had a great engagement for, reaching over 1,000 individuals that just covered the basics of voting and making a voting plan. These are just some pictures that were shared with us. People wearing the awesome Native Vote swag that they put together. Santa Clara Valley, you can see this amazing Week of Power event that they put on. Very colorful, and they had great engagement, which we will have an opportunity to discuss all the highlights after. I don't know if Sonia was able to join us today, but hopefully that we'll be able to hear from her. But they did have this Feed the Voters event, which is really creative, and they were able to pass out information there and reach many, many people. Sacramento Native American Health Center had another lot of drive-through events, very effective for engaging their community, but they also had a very creative and powerful presence on social media. So here you can see that they shared weekly social media posts with sharing the voices of their staff members. So right here you can see Sage, who shared why she votes. And that was one thing they realized was effective for reaching out to their community, hearing their actual friends and family and why they voted. Native Health Center in Phoenix. They had a bunch of different activities they put on. So many, like, we can hardly keep track of course. So we'll have to hear more, hopefully, from Susan Javier. And some of the things that we've listed here, you can see Mark Yaffe in the corner. They had weekly videos from Native comedians encouraging people to get out the vote. They also put together some great swag items, and they distributed those to local businesses that they partnered with. So they distributed them to their Native employees through the local businesses, which was a very interesting way of making sure they had like a huge community turnout. American Indian Health and Family Services. Casey put on some great focus groups. I think this is the only focus groups that we saw, and it was really interesting to learn from the people that they had come in to speak. So they had 3 focus groups. I know they had a census worker on their staff come in and talk for one of them, and they had even community feedback that they used to inform the 3rd focus group. So they had a really good turnout here. So the Urban Intertribal Center of Texas, they had a bunch of different events. A lot of these are look at these creative ways that, sorry, these are very fall colors and my color scheme doesn't work, but they're lovely colors and they really stand out. And I love this idea of the distributing voter education at a winter coat drive. It really speaks to reaching out and engaging your community where they're at. So I thought that was super creative. So Roxanne at the American Indian Health Service of Chicago, she is not able to join today, but she did send along a couple pictures this week from their counting fair. So this was specific to the census efforts. And they had a counting booth specifically focused on encouraging people to register for the census, take part in the census, and count all of their family members. As you can see, the Every Child Matters slogan here. They also had very visible and engaging billboards that they put up before the election for Native American Heritage Month. First Nations Community Healthsource, I unfortunately don't have a lot of pictures, but we know that they had some great efforts as well, especially around census phone banking. They were able to reach out, and they also had this information on learning about the census, engaging with their community members right on the landing page of their website. So it was very visible. Native American Connections also put on some very creative Feed the Polls events, kind of like Santa Clara. And so this, you can see here that they partnered with local organizations such as the Migrant Kitchen. So they were able to distribute educational materials that way. But they also put these cool voter awareness door hangers. I actually don't know what the word is for this, but let's call them door hangers. And they put them on all their housing community member doors. And that is actually the end of our highlight reel. Like I said, if you have any other pictures you would like to share, especially with your actual community members or with staff, maybe at the polls, we always love to see that. We would love to put that into this highlight reel so we can share it nationwide. Thank you. We're actually going to move into our round robin discussion part of today. So as Sabu mentioned, this is going to be, it's pretty casual and informal. We're really just here to reflect on all the successes we did. We want to hear about what you did, what you love doing, what you thought went really well, maybe challenges you faced, and we can brainstorm together to see how we can improve that in the future. And yeah, just focus on the positives, really. We're just here to take a break, take a breather, and look back and reflect for the future. So I can start by picking someone on my screen, or if someone wants to volunteer to go, if you feel like you'd like to share, please feel free.
I can go first.
Awesome, thanks, Casey.
My name is
You
Casey
can-
Brandt. I work at American Indian Health and Family Services. I'm currently the acting community wellness director. I've been in this position a little over 3 months. We came on board with this project a little late, mid-October, and we were able to put together 3 events. And our organization's greatest achievement during this project actually happened by accident, because one of our third events that we were going to host and partner with at a local university was actually closed down due to COVID. And I reached out to other partners, and we ended up hosting Get Out and Vote education event in Grand Rapids, because there wasn't much native vote in that area, which I was surprised about. And it was one of our biggest turnouts, and the community was very receptive, and they were very appreciative of having us come out there and educate them. Most of the community members were elders and they're not big on online voting and things like that, or voting in general. And with the chaos of how the country is today, they really wanted to get out there and vote and do that and have some conversation. So it was a blessing in disguise. And I would say that was our greatest achievement, because we got to reach out to a community that didn't have much out there for Get Out and Vote. So.
That's amazing, Casey. Thank you for sharing. Do you feel comfortable answering the other questions, or do you want to continue on? That's up to you.
Sure, I can. What did we do well? I think for having such a short time frame to do 3 events, I think my staff was very big on doing things last minute. We wanted to social distance. We knew we were going to have people. So the planning of hosting them off-site, because our location is relatively small, so booking those rooms were, I guess, last minute was kind of hectic, but my team was able to get that together. So I was really happy and supportive of them that they were able to do that. The other question, I can't really read it all because it's blocking. Let me see.
Sorry. What were challenges you encountered? I mean, that does sound like a challenge in a way.
Yeah, I would say our biggest challenge was because we came on board to this project late. There was so much that I wanted to do, but we didn't really have the time to do it before the 4th, before Election Day. So some of those things we're hoping to do next year. One of those things was we are trying to get more youth intergenerational activities in our agency with our elders and our youth. And that is something that I wanted to focus on with this project, but it was kind of hard to do that with one of the universities being shut down and having to find an alternative for that. But that's something that I definitely hope to do in the future, next time for our organization.
I think that's definitely a good example of trying to overcome a challenge and recognizing something that you maybe couldn't do something about right now, but you definitely had plans for. So that's a great example. Thank you, Casey. I don't know who would like to go next. Jennifer, you're next on my screen if you'd like to.
Sure. Thank you, Emily. Um, we did get those door hangers out across 22 program sites, so that's just shy of 1,000 doors. We also did some work with Phoenix Indian Center, who's a partner of ours. They did swag bags across a lot of those housing communities as well. We did a Get Out the Vote swag bag for all 160 of our staff. And we did a lot of the Get Out the Vote and also COVID safety. So everybody got hand sanitizer, they got a mask. So we were really trying to make it sort of timely to what was going on. Um, Whenever we do this, we always get at least one story of a resident that was a first time voter. And that's the win. I mean, um, I hear stories of people who had great debates about candidates while standing in front of the intake desk. I know here in Arizona we had a education initiative and a recreational marijuana initiative on our ballot, so that had sparked some great conversations. And it's just always nice to see people who have been so unengaged realize that what happens with their vote and how they can really make a difference in their community. Um, I think, like everybody, the biggest challenges were, we pivot every day because of COVID for some reason. In years past, we've been really able to engage the folks that are in our residential treatment facilities. Not so much this year because the census on that is a lot lower because of safety precautions. So that was a little tricky to navigate around. And it's always staffing, right? Like I'm in years past, we've had a team of like 4 on this. This year it was 2, and neither of us native. So, it's all over the place on that from year to year, but hopefully we've got some new funding coming in, and we're going to work with one of our universities to create like a dedicated student internship that is all about civic engagement and census and voting, and hopefully that gets embedded in that university's program, and we'll just be the host site. um, we got into this a little later than I would have liked to because we're all scattered right now. We couldn't get the communication going with some of the partners like we typically would between Intertribal Council and PIC, but that's just, hopefully we never have that problem again because of COVID or a pandemic. But I really appreciated all the support that you all gave. And for me, it's always super, super helpful because we don't have a dedicated graphic artist on site. So logos and images and all of that you all kept sending out and the Congress kept sending out, that's so helpful because then we can just modify a little or put on our logo on top of that and not have to create a graphic totally from scratch, because if that's left up to me, it's really not going to look good. So I think that's it.
Thanks, Jennifer. I definitely relate to that with the graphic design. I'm not really on that either. I wonder if you could tell us, if you don't mind, like a little more about the Feed the Polls. I'd love to hear about it. I thought that was just really interesting.
So that we have an entity in Arizona called Local First. They are all about engaging local businesses in whatever. This year, they combined the incredible need for food assistance with putting COVID money to support locally owned restaurants together. So in the couple days leading up to voting, and Arizona's in a really unique position. We had voting sites open like 30 days out on weekends and evenings. So restaurants would partner with a voting site and they would drop food. So that particular group, Sana Foods, Maria is Native American, Indigenous. She's been doing meal prep for us for all of our elder communities. She did those tote bags that feature native grown foods, grains, coffee. Like there's an array of products in that. And then then she was just assigned a polling site somewhere in Central Phoenix. There was another Japanese sushi restaurant had the polling site closest to our building. It's local first. It's just a phenomenal program. They also helped get meals out for Thanksgiving. They dropped 2,500 meals with 10 different restaurants at our sites. So I would look them up because they have sort of not really franchises, but like copycat entities across the country. And all they did was take their COVID money and they realized we're going to feed people and people are voting. Let's put it together.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal project. And as far as I know, we're going to gear up and do the same type of thing through Christmas.
Wow.
But yeah,
That's amazing.
I have to say, of all the COVID employed money, I would say that I've seen, they have done phenomenal work with it. And the same type of thing would have happened in the Black community, the Latino community. Like they went in and got the businesses from those communities and got them engaged.
I think that's something we can all look to. Like we're definitely looking at ideas of other civic engagement we can look to in the future, especially is the election over? Barely, kind of. But let's look forward. What's happening next? So that's an awesome idea.
Phoenix has a city of Phoenix council election in March, so we're only quiet for a minute, and then we'll gear back up to do engagement again.
It's never really over. I don't know who wants to speak next. We still have. Thank you for sharing, though, Jennifer, and speaking more about that. Javier, maybe you want to speak next?
Sure, certainly.
Thanks.
Hi, Emily.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. I'm Javier Quiroga, social media coordinator with Native Health in Phoenix. And we were able to basically do a lot of swag to get out the vote. And fortunately, I'm the graphic designer with Native Health, so we were able to design some of our own logos and artwork. I have to say the Native Vote bag was a really huge success. We had a lot of people really liking the design. We just, we always ran out really quickly. So I guess that would have been one of the challenges, was how fast we had to get things done professionally printed, and to work with a commercial printer, because they're limited also as to how far, how fast they could get things out. But we had tremendous output with when we had our food distribution days, where we would be handing out all these materials. And then we also would have, we would just post on social media that we were handing out these materials. I guess the one, with the COVID, that's the one thing that kind of just tied us up, was not being able to go to outdoor events, which we normally would do in the summertime. We would, we always would always attend all the powwows or any other events. And then, that obviously would have been a great opportunity to hand out all the materials, t-shirts, water bottles, stickers, everything. And one other thing would be that was towards the end, we did notice towards voting day, that we weren't getting as much as a response on our social media postings, reminding people when it was the time to vote. And if we had to guess, we would say that it was probably due to just exhaustion, and with all the problems that there were out there, and the concerns regarding voter people not being allowed to vote and everything like that. So, but all in all, though, that despite being kind of last minute, we had a great response.
Thanks, Javier. Yeah, I really enjoyed seeing everything that you all came up with.
Thank you.
Especially the comedic videos. That was very
Yes.
different.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for reminding me. Yes.
Do you want to talk about that? How did that idea come about? I'd love to hear about that because I don't think I've heard that before as a civic engagement strategy.
We wanted to have a Native American approach to the postings, and we figured, just keep it to 30 seconds. And we figured that, a comedian would be somebody who at least could make something, a little bit more lighthearted approach rather than all the seriousness that postings that you see or saw on social media or on TV.
Yeah, it's a very interesting way of combating the kind of joint problem of like COVID fatigue and voting fatigue.
Yes, yes.
Thank you for sharing. I think we have Nikki, if you're still here, we'd love to hear from you.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Nikki Redmond, and I work at Fresno American Indian Health Project. I'm also a tribal member of North Fork Rancheria here locally. I think one of our challenges was also, like everybody else has said, kind of coming into the project a little later. So getting events together with COVID and everything was a little challenging. So our one event that we were going to do kept getting postponed due to the creek fire that's near us with the smoke and the air quality. It was just really bad to be outside. So we did postpone that, and it ended up kind of going into a Halloween event, and that's when we renamed it Hallowills. And it ended up being a really great event, especially being that we kind of pulled it together last minute. We were really surprised the outcome of how many people showed up. We only had 4 booths that set up in our parking lot, and basically it consisted of our different departments. And Save the Children was also here. They gave out a lot of hygiene kits and things like that to people. But total, we had 87 vehicles that came through our event. So we had 116 adults, 196 children. So we had 312 people attend our event, which was really good for a Friday night before Halloween. And so we were really proud of that event. Just like I said, with such short notice, pulling it off was, we weren't sure because people weren't really going places, and so it was just really a nice thing. And then also one of the other things that we were doing a food distribution. So twice a month we would get fresh produce from the local farmers here in our area. This other organization that we kind of collaborated with, they were doing a crop buyback from the local farmers here. And so we were able to hop on board with that and get 60 bags every 2 weeks of fresh produce to give out to the clients. And so with that, we would give out, PPE, and then also like our flyers and stuff, just get out the vote, also census information when census was happening. So that was a really good way for us to at least get the flyers out there to people. And then we also once a month would have food boxes that were like non-perishable items. And that was just once a month, but the produce was twice. So it was, and each time it was 60 bags for each event, or boxes. So that was kind of like, that was all new to us because we haven't really been doing that very long. But with the pandemic, we're not doing as many programming things that we were doing before. So just anything that we can still help the community and get them engaged with, our program, that we are still here, we're still doing what we can, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That sounds like a really unique way of everything I've heard today, but from all of you, it's very unique to your community.
Yes.
And I really appreciate everyone sharing the different ways they were able to engage. We all appreciate what the creativity you bring to this project and the ways you're able to overcome all these challenges. I do not think that we have Zoe on the line from Native Lifelines anymore. Carrie did share with me that she was able to get her husband to vote for the first time. So that was a big big win, like Jennifer was saying, you get your first time voter. That's definitely what we're looking for here, and it's really exciting every time that happens. Personally, I got one of my younger brothers to vote for the first time, so I was very happy about that. And yeah, thank you for sharing, everybody. I was going to move on to the mid-year reporting guidelines, but I realized I'd like to leave a little space to answer this question of what NCUI did well, and we'd love to hear your feedback for how we can support you better, because we're going to continue like civic engagement efforts. As like Jennifer, you just mentioned, local elections are going on now, ballot measures are going on nationally in towns and states. So what can we do really to help support your efforts in the future? And what did you like that we did now? Like graphic designs was helpful maybe, or something like that. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And you can always put them in the chat too if anything comes up.
Yeah, it could be also like, you know, any of the webinars that might have been helpful that you joined and took some ideas or some ways to better help with finding new ways to do like local coalition building or creative ways to not have to reinvent the wheel. And so then y'all could, it'll be a less of a lift for you during your time in your Get Out the Vote projects.
Native American Connections also does a lot of work with Families USA and Community Catalyst on public health policy, particularly relating to oral health, and then also with a lot of organizations nationally on housing. And whenever they decide to do like a Twitter storm or a day of action on social media, it's super helpful that they just send us all of the messages, the hashtags, everything kind of in one master document. And then they get out of the, the gate first. And then it's real easy to retweet it or comment. And then we can engage our other grassroots partners to do the same. And it's just a really easy way to get things going for all of us that wear multiple hats and can't create the message, plus log on to Hootsuite, plus contact the partners, plus push out to staff. Like the more that it's ready to go, it's so helpful.
Okay, that sounds like something we can help with by having more social media postings ready to go that can be shared. Is that correct? Would that be like a helpful thing that if NCUI has more like toolkits kind of just ready to go for you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. That's a helpful suggestion. We have like an ever-growing comms team who are amazing at this, and we're putting stuff together as we speak. So that's definitely something we can ask them about. Is there anything else that anyone wants to share or any questions that you might have for each other as well? If there's something else you want to discuss about an event that our colleagues put on, that would be open to discussion as well.
Yeah, it could be like if you wanted to do some peer sharing where if you want to get a little more information on how a certain activity was done, that might be helpful for future planning for some of you who are still going to do civic engagement activities in the near future.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for sharing. If any other suggestions come up, please let us know. we're always here, right, Sabu?
Yes.
And we'd be happy to help. And it was just really exciting to hear about everything that you put on. It was really exciting to hear how you worked with so many different community organizations and like all the ground level work that you're able to put together, as you all said, in such a short amount of time. Like this year has been crazy and full of challenges. So kudos to all of you and thank you. Moving on, I'm gonna hand the floor over to Sabu so we can just get over some of these administrative reporting guidelines.
Yeah, so thank you all again for sharing your successes, challenges, and just some of the great work that you all have done. Some things to keep in mind. There was an email sent out by Mark recently, and it's a really very short, brief survey that the NUIFC has put together. And we're asking to submit it by the 18th. I could send out that email again if anyone has not received it. And it's really a brief survey to kind of share, to see what are some activities that you all have engaged in, and it's not a heavy lift at all. I think it takes like a couple minutes. I took a look at it, but it's definitely for UIOs. And so that's something that was recently sent out, and I'll send a follow-up to that. And then I think the last thing is this mid-year progress report. And that is it was inside of your welcome attachment letter. But also we could send that out to any one of you who want us to send it again. And it's really a very simple for a template that really is like fill in the blanks. Like there's questions about your activities, staff, how many staff were used in regards to help with the activity and fund, and how much money was spent. So it's like it's not a big lift. And this mid-year progress report is, if there is no other activities that you have planned outside of this time frame, would be your final reporting. So it depends on if your UIO is still having funding, and there's still civic engagement activities you're doing after December, then this would just be a mid-year, and then the final report would be literally the similar document, but it would be due at the end of June of 2021. So wanted to create that clarity that if there is no further activities and civic engagement activities, then this document that we all provided to you and we could share again is due by the 31st to Mark. And Mark's email is provided here, so I'll give all of you the Mark's email addresses again. And the only thing outside of that is just, when you fill out the mid-year report, just, try to provide as much information as you can of activities as you did today, to kind of highlight all the great work you did. And yeah, I think outside of that, I don't know if there's questions that people might have, clarifying questions that I could answer.
I have a question. Would you like our Facebook posting stats as to like what the response was for each posting? Obviously for anything that had to do with voting.
Yeah, I think the document itself has the survey, I think, includes that. In the survey, it asks those questions about those numbers. So the survey that I could share with all of you again, that's here, asks like final numbers of like engagement that y'all did that you could include in there. but I'm also I'm not sure. I don't think inside the mid-year report you could put that in there if you wanted to. Like if you want to just highlight in the template itself too, that's perfectly fine.
Okay, okay, I'm sorry. I should have specified you were needing like screenshots that Facebook provides.
I don't think we need screenshots. I think if you were just like numbers would be suffice. But I think in the Survey Monkey that's created, that those numbers are asked inside of the survey itself, like those last figures.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Is there anything else that anyone have any questions for in regards to mid-year reporting guidelines? Okay, well, I guess the next portion of today's celebration, is there any other questions or questions that we could ask that you'd want to get clarity on? Is any of you want, I guess, is it okay to send all of you again the mid-year report documents and the Survey Monkey? I'll send both of those out after today's call, so all of you have it, all sub-grantees.
Thank you.
Well, thank
Thanks,
you.
Sabu, for that. So Susan also jumped on from Native Health Center. So Susan, welcome. I don't know if you wanted to add a couple words to Javier's overview earlier about any of your efforts.
Sorry, I was on a, can you hear me, Emily, or everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, sorry.
Welcome.
I didn't get to hear what he said. I was on a COVID call and I couldn't hop off. Javier, is there anything we need to talk about, like what, or mention the different things that we did with partners that day?
I mentioned,
did you mention that?
Yeah, I mentioned the terrific turnout that we got, that we had, response that we got during our food donation, food distribution. And then also Emily had asked about the use of the Native American comedians.
Okay.
And
so one other thing.
Sorry,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
And I'd also mentioned the two challenges were being able to work with commercial printers in order to get everything printed quickly. And then also the lack of response towards the end, towards actual voting day response on social media postings.
So one of the things that we did is we turned around those get out the vote bags super fast. And what we also did is we reached out to all of our community partners that we work with. So all of the, like the Native American professional networks from like Bank of America, Salt River Project, Arizona State University, Maricopa Community Colleges, American Indian Outreach Program, ASU's, American Indian Student Support Services. And we had those bags delivered to all of those people that day. So they were able to get out, so they would have them in time for voting. And then there was also the Arizona Republic article that mentioned all the work that we had done as well as others, which was super successful. And it was also covered on AZ Central. So I think we got a lot of visibility and people really liked everything we did. We also handed out a lot of voter information at our COVID testing events and our flu shot events, as well as all the food distribution that Javier mentioned. So we had, you know, face-to-face interactions with a lot of people and got the stuff out.
Thanks, Susan. I'm glad you could join and add to a bigger picture of what you were all able to do there. And that point about visibility is definitely one that we definitely have been thinking about. And that definitely goes back to the whole having a social media toolkit. So something we can think about in the future.
You know, I think
any other, yeah, sorry.
Oh, okay. I just think for next time, I'm having in terms of the vote, having more incentives earlier, I think would have been good. We ran out of everything we had. And then as Javier mentioned, trying to turn stuff around quickly during COVID was a little challenging, but I think it was really effective to work with all the partners in town. And, you know, as I mentioned, we got 1,000 bags out in one day. So a lot of people came and helped and picked it up, and it was really good. So
that's a good point. Thank you for sharing that. We, you might not have been here earlier, but of course we're always open to suggestions. So anything that comes up, please let us know. But definitely planning in the midst of a pandemic and planning for the amount of voter response we're going to have was something we'll have to take into account and be able to use what we learned from this for next time.
I have something to add that I was just shared with by NUIFC. So just like the census, or just like the survey that we're asking for the December 18th, there is one for census. So the one for December 18th is more around get out the vote efforts that you did, like, and so it's focused on get out the vote activities. And then there's going to be one in January that's only census activity focused. So any sensitive activity data like that you want to share in regards to social media stuff and so forth, there will be a survey provided by NUIFC to us to share with y'all, but that obviously is not, you'll hear from us next month about that. I just want to make sure that y'all know that now, but that was about it. There's nothing else.
Thanks, Abu. Does anyone else have any questions about the reporting or the requirements? Okay. All right. Moving on, what we just wanted to focus on is to kind of remind everybody that, well, we did discuss it. I think we're all very well aware that civic engagement is an ongoing process, and finishing, just because we finished this election cycle, well, in most states, Georgia, we're looking at you, but just because we finished this election cycle doesn't mean that we're done with our civic engagement efforts. And we can always register voters and encourage people to be engaged, whether or not it's voting or if it's just helping in their community and raising awareness of different initiatives that are going on or different policy objectives. So to that point, that might be another way as well that, Javier, you were talking about combating voter fatigue. It's almost like if we don't influx people with all of this information at once, and maybe it's like a slow, like a reminder, maybe that's something we can consider going forward. Just a thought though. Obviously, it doesn't have to be planned out now.
No. I think everybody would probably wait until after January.
Yeah, I think we might need a little bit of a mental break.
Yes.
Well, just to that extent, without doing any planning, just to kind of focus on some upcoming possibilities and what we here at NCUI are looking to do, and hoping that we can support you in participating as well. There's some efforts we've put together for fostering civic engagement. So event ideas, which most of you, of course, already are way ahead of us on putting together drive-throughs and flu shot drive-throughs, soon COVID vaccination probably events. And then virtual or socially distanced walk and run-a-thons is something that we have seen come up more nationally. I've seen this even locally in my own town. This has been something people have used to build awareness for different ballot measures or political issues or candidates that they want to, just build awareness on. So that's something that we've kind of figured out in the pandemic now that maybe wasn't as possible earlier. And of course, volunteer days with local organizations, especially about like environmental awareness. Then as far as education and training, Nonprofit Vote has a lot of webinars, and some of you might have seen the Nonprofit Vote training series as well as the All In series. I myself have seen a couple of them, and they have a lot of good talking points, especially with like engaging youth. So that was helpful for reaching out to people. I guess that was more in my own circle. And then other activities on social media, talking about local elections, which is something that doesn't get that much publicity because it's not always that exciting, I guess. And it doesn't sound as exciting anyway, but they're super important and they definitely need more visibility. And then social media posting, we've seen that people posting their own personal stories of why they vote, or being a first-time voter especially. Those have been really engaging and very impactful, especially when it's people that younger people look up to. That seems to be something that is pretty effective with youth. But moving forward, NCUI is going to be hosting webinars. As we mentioned, we're in a transition phase, so we're moving out of just a big voter registration push and more into civic advocacy efforts. And between now and July, we're planning on hosting at least 2 webinars. Sabu, you might have more information about the topics coming up.
Yeah, I was just gonna, I mean, we're gonna be sharing them with you shortly, but definitely around how to keep elected officials who are gonna be starting, you know, in Congress and in the House of Representatives accountable. So the work obviously of like how to do that, how to keep youth and Native communities active in a way that keeps those who now are elected to accountable, but also you know, to inspire Native communities and to think about how to stay well. Right, we're still living in a turbulent time period with the pandemic and I mean Georgia elections, right, and what that means on a larger scale for the country. So how does some best practices and tips and tricks to stay well and to stay grounded during challenging times also. So that's a little bit of some of the topics, and we'll be sharing with all of you shortly. Like we'll be sending out an entire like flyer with all of that good information. But we really appreciate all of you coming today. I don't know, Emily, is there anything else you want to share before we end our celebration call?
There's nothing else that I wanted to add. I just wanted to say thank you again, and for all the efforts that you did and for everything you were able to pull off, considering 1, the pandemic, and 2, the shortened time frame. And it was very impressive. And also just thank you for being here and sharing with us. It's exciting, and I think it was really helpful and important for us all to feel like we accomplished something together, that we made a difference, and to kind of come together and reflect on that. I personally feel just invigorated and ready to go on and do more work. Well, maybe let's take a break, like Javier said. But it was very exciting. So thank you for sharing with us. If you have any suggestions, like I said, please reach out and we'll be in contact. So thank you.
Thank you all again, and have a, I'll be sending out the mid-year reporting requirements and the survey after today's call also, so you all have that. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll give you guys back 20 minutes of your day, and sending you peaceful energy and calming vibes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.